All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about the factory of the future, a place where artificial intelligence is way more than just a buzzword. It is completely changing how things are made and, maybe even more importantly, how workers are kept safe. This is the story of the AI factory.
And the scale of this thing, it is just massive. A report from Accenture actually puts a number on this, and it's a big one. They're saying that AI in factories could pump up the global economy by $14 trillion by 2035. I mean, that's a number that's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How is this revolution really reshaping our world? We're talking about everything from the parts in your car to the safety of the person who actually put it together. AI's fingerprints are everywhere.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get a handle on the revolution itself. Then, we'll look at the incredible promise of the so-called smart factory. We'll see some real-world examples of AI in action, and then dive into what it all means for the workforce. Of course, we have to talk about the hidden risks before finally looking ahead to the future of humans and AI working together.
This isn't just some minor upgrade. Experts are actually calling this the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or Industry 4.0 for short. And the engine driving this whole thing? It's artificial intelligence.
So when we talk about AI in manufacturing, what are we actually saying? Well, at its core, it's about using really powerful computer systems, things like machine learning and deep learning, to just comb through mountains of data. These systems can find tiny patterns a human being would never, ever spot. And that lets factories automate super complex tasks and just make smarter decisions faster.
Okay, so why now? Why is this all happening? Well, it turns out AI is promising to solve some of the oldest, most stubborn problems that have plagued manufacturing for decades. It really is a game changer.
And this slide really says it all. On one side, you have these huge, expensive problems. I mean, unplanned downtime can bring an entire production line to a screeching halt. And then there's the human cost. The International Labor Organization reports a mind-blowing 2.3 million work-related deaths every single year. But look at the other side. AI offers real solutions. Predictive maintenance can see a machine failure coming and cut that downtime by almost half. And proactive safety systems can spot risks before anyone ever gets hurt.
All right, we've talked about the promise, but what does this stuff actually look like when it hits the factory floor?
Well, it's already changing everything. AI is making supply chains smarter by predicting what's needed and when. It's even helping design brand new products. Think about this. A generative AI can spit out thousands of design options in the time it takes a human to sketch out just one or two. We've already mentioned predictive maintenance, and for quality control, computer vision systems can spot tiny, microscopic defects on an assembly line with a precision that is just, well, it's literally superhuman. And the impact on safety is maybe the most incredible part. You've got intelligent exoskeletons that help workers with heavy lifting. Ford actually did studies showing these can cut injuries by a massive 83%. You've got smart helmets and vests that send out real-time alerts. Robots are now the ones handling dangerous chemicals or welding in tight spaces. And computer vision is like having a tireless safety inspector on duty 24/7, always watching for spills or other hazards.
Okay, but all this automation brings up the elephant in the room. What about jobs? Is this the classic story of man versus machine? Or is it something more collaborative, like man with machine?
You can really think of it as two different forces pushing and pulling at the same time. On one side, you have what's called the automation channel. That's where AI takes over repetitive tasks, which can, sometimes lead to job replacement. But then you have the innovation channel. And this is where AI helps us create brand new products, new services, and new markets, which actually creates new kinds of jobs for people.
And here's the kicker. So far, innovation seems to be winning. Research from Wharton is showing that in most industries, companies that invest heavily in AI are actually seeing growth in both their sales and their total number of employees. They're not just replacing people, they're getting bigger and scaling up their whole operation. So AI is acting as a complement to human workers, not just a substitute.
But, and this is a really big but, while the total number of jobs might be growing, the type of job is definitely changing. The workforce in these high-tech firms is shifting towards people with more education, with college degrees and STEM skills. We're also seeing companies get flatter, with fewer layers of middle management and more independent workers who can use these AI tools to do their jobs more effectively.
But it's not all smooth sailing.
This whole AI revolution comes with some serious challenges and hidden risks that we absolutely have to talk about. And one of the biggest red flags researchers are waving is this. AI seems to be making entire industries more concentrated. It makes sense if you think about it. The largest companies, the ones that already have tons of data and cash, are in the best position to take advantage of this new technology. And that could make the gap between the corporate giants and everyone else even wider. And on a practical, day-to-day level, the hurdles are huge. First off, there's a major talent gap. There just aren't enough people who know how to build and run these systems. Then you've got the nightmare of trying to plug this new AI tech into old factory equipment. The upfront costs are also astronomical. And on top of all that, you have cybersecurity. A smart factory is basically a giant, juicy target for hackers. In fact, manufacturing is already the target of more than a quarter of all cyber attacks worldwide.
So with all those challenges, how do we get this right? How do we make this revolution work for everybody? You know, the future isn't about picking one or the other, humans or AI. It's about finding the best way for them to work together.
And there's a great case study from a trailer manufacturer called Great Dane that shows us the way. Their success came from a very human-centric approach. Yay, they got buy-in from the top, but the key thing they did was use the AI data to find problems with the process, not to point fingers at individual workers. They brought their frontline employees into the conversation to help design the solutions, and they were totally transparent about why they were doing it.
And the results? They speak for themselves. By focusing on people and collaboration, Great Dane saw a 42% drop in recordable workplace injuries. I mean, that's just staggering. It proves that when you do this thoughtfully, AI is an incredible tool for human well-being.
And it all comes down to this idea, which Dr. Anna Evangelista sums up perfectly. The future lies in the seamless integration of human expertise and advanced technologies. It's not about replacement, it's about empowerment.
At the end of the day, AI isn't some force of nature that's just happening to us. It's a tool. It might be the most powerful tool humanity has ever built, and it can help us build a future that's more productive, more innovative, and safer than we can even imagine. But how we get there, that depends completely on the choices we're making right now. The real question isn't what AI will do to us, it's what we will choose to do with it. Thanks for tuning in.